What if you've been measuring time wrong your whole life? Not the ticking seconds on your phone, but the time you actually live. In this video, we're diving into Henry Bergson's idea of duration, a kind of real time that flows like a river and refuses to be chopped into neat little blocks. Think of it as the difference between a schedule and a song. You can list the moments, sure, but the meaning lives in the flow. Stick around, because we'll break this down in plain language. How time feels continuous, no hard cuts. Why it's deeply qualitative, minutes can be heavy or light. Why it's basically indivisible, slice it and you change it. And how your thoughts and feelings interpenetrate. They blend, not stack. But before we continue, please like and subscribe to our channel for more videos. By the end, you won't just know Bergson, you'll start to notice time differently in your own day. Ready? Let's press play on real time. Quick question. When did that moment start? Not the clock answer, 3:17 p.m., but the lived one. Did it start when you clicked this video, when the title caught your eye, when you woke up with that half-formed thought still buzzing? Exactly. Your now isn't a thin line. It's a thick, rolling wave that carries a little of the just past and leans into what's next. That living flow is what Bergson calls duration. Here's the mind flip. We usually treat time like a spreadsheet. Cells you can split, copy, and drag down useful? Totally. Real? Only for clocks. The time you actually live is more like a song than a schedule. In a song, the fifth note doesn't show up naked. It arrives wearing the colors of notes 1 through 4. If you pause between every note, the music dies, even if every note is technically right. Your experience works the same way. Moments carry each other. Think movies. A film is just a stack of still frames, but when they run, you see a dancer's jump, not a pile of poses. Freeze the frame at the top of the leap and you've got a picture, not the leap. The leap exists as a curve through time, in the flow, not in the slices. Your present is that curve. It's not a dot. It's a span that hums with the just felt and reaches for what's coming. You can feel this in high-pressure moments. Walk into an exam and you don't arrive as blank. Last night's review, last week's mistakes, that one encouraging comment from a teacher, these are still active. They tune your mood, steer your attention, and shape how you read the first question. The now is layered. Memory isn't behind you like luggage. It's in you, shaping the moment as it unfolds. So, are clocks wrong? Nope. Clocks are amazing tools for catching trains, running experiments, and meeting people on time. Bergson's point is smaller and sharper. Clocks translate time into something more like space, equal units laid side by side. That translation is powerful. But it drops the thing that matters most for lived experience, the flow itself. Map a river into 5 segments, and you can measure lengths and widths. Great, but you just lost the current, the push, the feeling of water moving. That's what happens when we slice our inner time into seconds. We keep the data and lose the life. Try a tiny experiment. For the next 10 seconds, listen to any sound around you. A fan, traffic, your own breathing. Notice how what you're hearing accumulates. The present sound is shaped by the echo of what you just heard. That echo is your proof. Time, as lived, is continuous. Why this matters? When you think about growth, creativity, or even responsibility, continuity changes the picture. A decision isn't a lone click at timestamp. It's something that ripens, a stretch of becoming where many threads slowly braid together until speaking or acting becomes natural. Treat time as slices and you miss the ripening. Treat it as a flow and your life makes more sense. Bottom line, your real present is a stream, not a stack. Moments blend, meaning gathers, and you carry your past forward as you lean into the next beat. That's Bergson's continuity, time as you actually live it. Pop quiz. Why do 2 minutes sometimes feel like an hour and other times vanish in a blink? The clock swears both are 120 seconds. Your body says, nope. That clash is Bergson's big reveal. Real time, the time you live, is qualitative. Minutes aren't just lengths, they have flavors. Picture this. You're waiting for test results. Every tick gets heavier, like gravity turned up. Now switch scenes. You're in a game, zoned in, everything clicking. Same 2 minutes, totally different feel. That difference isn't a glitch. It's the main event lived time carries mood, meaning, and momentum. The clock gives you a number. Experience gives you a tone. We already talk this way. Time drags, flies, stops, melts. Those aren't sloppy metaphors. They're honest reports from inside experience. Fear thickens time. Joy thins it. Boredom stretches it like gum. Focus compresses it into a bright bead. If you only count seconds, you miss what those seconds are like. Try this. Set a 2-minute timer. First round, stare at the timer. Second round, play your favorite chorus. Third round, text someone you care about and actually mean what you write, same quantity. 3 different worlds of time. When the timer ends, ask, which minutes were heavy, light, electric? You just measured quality. Here's a clean analogy. A thermometer says 19 degrees centigrade, useful. But does that number tell you what it feels like to walk from a hot street into a cool lake? The feeling is the reality you live. Calendar, March 12th. Nice. But was that the day everything finally clicked? Or the day you carried a quiet grief? Numbers can't hold that texture duration does. Does this dunk on science? Not at all. Clocks and equations are incredible tools. Bergson's point is sharper. Measurement is a translation, turning a flowing, colored moment into equal units you can stack and compare. Translations are powerful, and they drop something. What gets dropped? The elasticity, density, and mood of experience, the part that matters when you're actually living. Watch how quality shapes action. Decisions rarely happen at a single tick. They ripen, pressure builds, courage warms, doubt cools, a memory surfaces, the vibe shifts, and then you speak. The 1 minute when you act contains hours of tone shaping. If you call both 60 seconds and walk away, you've got the skeleton and lost the pulse. Music nails this. A metronome gives equal clicks, a groove gives feel, same tempo, different life. In the groove, time breathes, pushes, pulls, relaxes, snaps. That breath is what Bergson means. Time as lived texture, not just counted length. So here's your daily upgrade. Don't just ask, how long did it take? Ask, how did it feel? Dense or airy? Stuck or flowing? Jittery or calm? Start naming the quality and your day stops being a spreadsheet of minutes and starts becoming a map of meanings. Bottom line, minutes aren't identical bricks. They're tones in a moving song. If you only count them, you flatten life. If you listen to them, you catch what's really happening in your mind, your choices, your relationships, the living rhythm of time itself. Hot take. Can you cut a moment in half and still have the same moment? Sounds obvious. Sure, split the second. But Bergson says, not so fast. The instant you slice lived time into equal bits, you change the thing you're trying to understand. Real time, the time you feel, isn't a stack of identical Lego bricks. It's a single flow. And when you chop a flow, you don't reveal it. You ruin it. Let's make that real. Think of a melody you love. You can write down each note, even count how long each lasts. But when you actually hear the music, note 5 is carrying the echo of notes 1 through 4. It only lands with meaning because of that build-up. Now pause the track after every note and play them one by one. Technically, the notes are all there, but the music is gone. That's the trap. Dividing a living sequence destroys the relation that gave it life. Now watch how different this is from space. If I cut a rope into 2 pieces, I still have rope. Space likes clean slices. Time doesn't. A half of a lived moment isn't really a moment at all, because what you're feeling now is soaked with what just happened and already leaning into what's next. The present is a thick now, not a razor-thin tick you can peel off and study alone. Movies make this obvious. A film is a stack of still frames, right? But when they run, you see a dancer leap, not a pile of poses freeze on the highest point of the jump, and you've got a pretty picture, not the jump. The jump exists in the running, the passage, the curve across time. That's duration. If you think the essence is in the frames instead of in the flow, you'll keep asking why your picture doesn't move. Here's a quick experiment. Clap once. Replay that clap in your head as 2 half claps. You can't. The beat is a single gesture through time. Split it and you don't get 2 smaller beats. You get no beat. Same with a joke. Tell half the setup and stop. No one laughs. The punchline only hits because of the build that runs into it. This is why our feelings don't come in sealed jars labeled anger, 1 second, joy, 1 second. That 1 second of anger carries earlier slights, today's stress, a sharp memory, maybe a shade of shame. Try to slice out just the second and you lose the mix that made it what it was. The part you extracted borrowed its color from the whole stretch, but hold on, you say, we measure seconds all the time. Yes, and we should. Counting is a fantastic tool for catching flights, running labs, syncing teams. Bergson's point isn't anti-clock, it's pro-reality. Measurement is a translation. We turn a flowing living process into equal units, so we can calculate and coordinate super useful. But translations drop something, in this case, the seamless becoming that makes time time. Think about growth. A decision rarely pops out a timestamp like a toaster ding. It ripens across a span, a comment from a friend, an old fear loosening, a new angle appearing, courage warming up. When you finally act, that moment is the tip of a long curve. Slice the tip off and you don't have the decision itself. You have a dead end. So here's the mindset shift. When you want to understand real change, how moods deepen, ideas click, habits form, don't go straight for the scalpel, zoom out and feel the continuity. Ask, what curve is this moment part of? Because in lived time, the truth isn't hiding inside a tiny slice. It's written across the whole movement. Bottom line, real time is indivisible. Cut it, and you don't reveal its essence. You alter it. Respect the flow, and suddenly your choices, your creativity, and your relationships make more sense. Not as isolated ticks, but as living lines that carry meaning all the way through. Here's a brain bender. What if your now is a smoothie, not a bento box? Not tidy compartments, anger here, joy there, but a blended mix where flavors run into each other. That's Bergson's 4th point. In real time, your feelings, thoughts, memories, and expectations interpenetrate. They don't arrive solo, they show up mixed. Think about bittersweet joy. You're happy at graduation, but a friend who moved away crosses your mind. The joy doesn't vanish, it picks up a soft shadow. Or take nervous excitement before a big game. You're buzzing and shaky. That's not two states politely taking turns. It's one lived texture with both notes sounding at once. This blending starts the second you open your eyes. You never meet a moment empty. Memory leans forward into perception. A song doesn't just hit your ears, it taps an old summer, a car ride, a person. Suddenly the same chorus tastes warmer. Or you walk into a classroom after yesterday's argument. No one mentions it, but the room feels heavier. The present is wearing yesterday's coat. And this isn't just about feelings, it's about what you notice. When you're anxious, you scan for threats. When you're hopeful, you spot openings. The world hasn't changed, your inner mix has, and that mix colors the scene. Two people stand in the same hallway at 3 p.m. One sees pressure, the other sees possibility. Different pasts, different blends, different nows. Decisions, they're the best example. We love to imagine choices as a single click. Boom, done. But watch closely, a choice ripens. Yesterday's comment keeps echoing, a doubt cools, a memory returns with new meaning, courage warms up. Then, now, you speak. That now is not an isolated spark. It's the tip of a braided rope woven from hours, days, even years. If you try to locate the decision in 1 microsecond, you miss the braid and stare at a loose fiber. Quick micro-experiments. Watercolor test. Picture 2 emotions from today. Say, relief and worry. Notice how they sit together in your body, not side by side, but swirled. Relief loosening your shoulders while worry keeps your jaw tight. That's interpenetration. Memory filter. Listen to 20 seconds of a song you love. Pause. Recall a strong memory linked to it. Play the same 20 seconds again. Hear the color change? The notes didn't change. You did. Decision rewind. Think of something you finally said yes to rewind a week. What tiny moments fed that yes? Texts, glances, stray thoughts. You'll find a network, not a point. Does this mean analysis is useless? Nope. Breaking things into pieces is an amazing tool for science, planning, and teaching. Bergson's warning is about confusing the tool with the reality. When you separate fear, memory, and hope for study, you gain clarity. But in life, they come braided. The risk is mistaking the diagram for the dance. Why this matters? Creativity. Ideas don't pop from zero. They condense from a fog of half-tries, borrowed lines, old errors, new sparks. Honor the fog. It's where breakthroughs brew. Character. Your out-of-nowhere reaction is rarely out of nowhere. It's your history surfacing. Seeing the mix helps you take responsibility without shame. Change the mix. Shift the moment. Empathy. If everyone's now is wearing their past, then that sharp reply, that silence, that smile, each has layers. Curiosity beats judgment. One more image. Think of aromas in a kitchen. You can name garlic, lemon, basil, but what you actually smell is a blend. Pull out the basil for a lab test if you want. In the kitchen, it's the mingling that makes dinner. Your present works the same way. Past, mood, memory, and attention are constantly co-cooking the taste of now. Bottom line, in real time, states interpenetrate. They mingle like colors in wet paint, like notes in a chord, like voices in a crowd. Treat them as separate blocks, and you lose the living texture. Feel the blend, and you'll read your moments more accurately, decide more wisely, and give others the grace we all need, because every now is a smoothie. All right, zoom out time. Bergson's real time isn't the ticks on your lock screen, it's the flow you live in. 4 quick anchors to take with you. Continuity. Your now isn't a dot, it's a wave. Moments carry each other, like a melody or a movie jump that only exists in motion, no hard cuts. Qualitative. Minutes have flavors, heavy, light, tense, airy. The clock gives a number, experience gives a tone. That tone is the main event. Indivisible. Lived time isn't Lego. Slice it and you change it. A beat, a joke, a decision. They work as a whole curve, not identical atoms. Interpenetration. States blend. Memory perfumes, perception, emotions mix, decisions ripen. Your present is a smoothie, not a bento box. Do clocks matter? Absolutely. They're killer tools for trains, labs, and plans. But they're a translation, and translations drop the thing that makes life feel alive, the flow, your upgrade for the week. Don't just ask, how long did it take? Ask, how did it feel? Name the quality, notice the wave, track the ripening. When you start listening for duration, the living rhythm under the numbers, you'll read your days more clearly, choose more wisely, and spot creativity as it's forming. If this clicked, hit like, share it with a friend who lives on deadlines, and tell me in the comments, where did time fly for you today, and where did it stretch? See you in the next one.